Now, you're very welcome back and thank you for joining us live from Dublin. This is FM104's Phone Show with Adrian Kennedy, and we're also available on the television, on City Channel and Channel South, available across the country wherever UPC is available. Now, I want you to have a listen to a message from our 24-hour hotline, which is fairly explanatory, and see what you make of this.
Hi, Adrian. My name is Billy. I want to talk to you about a situation which has happened to me the last few weeks regarding going to prostitutes and all that. My wife was pregnant. She went off sex. I had me knee, went to a prostitute, and basically I got fined, and my whole life has been torn apart. My wife, my three kids, my family want nothing to do with me. They just think that I'm a bleeding pervert. I just think it's not fair at all, you know what I mean? So I just hope maybe you can bring this up. Maybe this is happening to other people, not just me, you know? Cheers, Adrian. Good luck.
All right, now, basically, it's a story of a guy who, and by the way, if he's listening, maybe he'll ring in. He basically says that the reason he went to a prostitute was because his wife was pregnant and had gone off sex. He says that he has needs and ended up paying for sex. However, he was caught and charged, and it appears from his message that he was prosecuted and appeared in court and was handed down a fine. Now, he's not the only one. Many men over the last year have been prosecuted by the Gardaí for using prostitutes. Now, obviously, he couldn't keep this quiet, and his family found out about it and have basically disowned him. Now, he more or less said that his life is now ruined, all because of one trip to a prostitute, which he doesn't believe is fair. And we want to know, do you have sympathy for men like this who are being prosecuted for using prostitutes? Is his wife and family right to disown him? Or maybe you can sympathise with this guy. After all, men have needs, and his wife had gone off sex. I'd like to hear from you. 6797104 is our telephone number. Let me go to Michael. You're on FM104. Michael, how are you?
Hi there, Adrian. How are you?
Grand, thanks, Michael.
Good.
You've no sympathy for men like this.
You can't, Adrian, because in all fairness, like, if he's married to his wife, he should have discussed it with her, saying, you know, what was going on. And second of all, he's lucky in one way. He didn't come out and get a very bad STI, or not saying all prostitutes, don't get wrong, have diseases, but he's very lucky he didn't get even something more contagious or some very bad disease. So, like, you know, how can you have sympathy for an idiot like that, unfortunately? Because, you know, you can't do that type of stuff. You can't.
Okay, but a lot of men do.
Well, you know, if you're going to do it, you just don't, unfortunately, you know, you just don't get caught. And unfortunately, he got caught. And, what can you say to him? You know, there's absolutely nothing you can say to him. Just going, you should have discussed it with your wife. You know, she's pregnant. And, you know, in all fairness, you know, you're the father of the kid, like, so wake up, like. So I'd have no sympathy for him, Adrian, in all.
Now, we did some research about this today, and, is it called Operation Curb? It is. Operation Curb, oh yeah, I have it here, yeah, sorry. Operation Curb is a project that was started by the Gardaí, and basically over 60 men have been prosecuted for soliciting sex from prostitutes. And we got his message and we researched it. Do you think that's fair that all these men are being prosecuted?
Well, as long as it's illegal, Adrian, unfortunately, yes. You know, as long as it's illegal, you know, it's like drugs. You know, you just don't do it because it's illegal. And at the end of the day, it's very sad that his family, and his life is basically being upturned. But you can't do that type of stuff, Adrian. And, you know, okay, even if he'd just done it once, who's to say he wouldn't have done it a second, third time, fourth time, fifth time? So, you know, at the end of the day, Adrian, unfortunately, he got caught. It's illegal. And, you know, he's lucky that he didn't get, God forgive me, he's lucky he didn't get HIV or something like that.
Okay, so you have no sympathy for him, and you think that these men who are being arrested with this Operation Curb, it serves them right? Basically,
yeah, absolutely. Because at this moment, Adrian, prostitution, as we know, is illegal.
Now, also, reading about this Operation Curb, here's how it works, and I want to get your opinion on this, right? A total of 64 men who have been caught, and here's how it works. It involves a team of undercover female Gardaí in casual clothes, strolling in areas well known for street prostitution around Dublin 7. And a total of 64 men who solicited the undercover Gardaí were then arrested and charged. Now, some people would say that's entrapment.
Yeah, but look, it's easy. Unfortunately, they're the ones going over and asking, are you, what, I'm not sure, I've never used a prostitute, but, they would have gone over and basically they might have said, are you working, are you on? So at the end of the day, they should realise better in all fairness, because, you just don't do that type of stuff. You can't.
All right, stay there for 1 second. 6797104 is our telephone number. Do you have any sympathy for men who get arrested for using prostitutes? 64 men have so far been arrested since last October for using prostitutes or attempting to use prostitutes in the Dublin 7 area. A total of 64 men who solicited undercover Gardaí were arrested and charged. Let me go to Jonathan. You're on FM104. How are you, Jonathan?
How's it going? It's just a very bad signal here on the phone, so I'll do my best. I can barely hear you.
Okay, but I can hear you. Go on.
The guy's name who got caught with the braza.
His name was, hang on there for 1 sec. His name was Billy.
Billy, whether that's your real name or not now, I don't know. But listen, man, my heart goes out to you. It's a fucked up situation to be caught in, and I can understand what he's saying. A similar situation happened to myself. Now, I didn't get caught with a braza, but I got caught playing around,
Right.
And, again, my whole life was in bits. No one wanted to talk to me, all that kind of stuff, and I regret doing it. And I can understand Billy, like, if he got busted by the old bill with a braza, he must have been using street girls. Do you know what I mean? Which is dodgy as well. If he was using escort girls, he wouldn't have got caught, So maybe you can pass that on to him as well. But in saying that, my heart goes out to him. I mean, if his whole life is in bits, he's had to losing everything. The guards had to drag him through the courts. His reputation's in tatters. Do you know what I mean? He fucked up. You know what I mean? He made a fucking bad decision. Do you know what I mean? Should he be hung, drawn, and quartered for that for the rest of his life?
Well, because he's been, dragged before the courts, it's a fairly humiliating place to be with the charge of soliciting.
Absolutely. And I mean, like that, again, he's probably doing it on the curb. So, like, you have all, like, he was saying, everyone thinks I'm a pervert now and this, that, and the other. Now, granted, I'm not condoning what he done. His wife was pregnant, and, women that are pregnant sometimes, to a point that it's okay to have sex, and after a certain point, they're just not able for it. I mean, the man has needs, I understand that, but that's what your hands for as well, like, what I mean? I mean, you have to do a fucking cost-benefit analysis. You have to weigh up the consequences of your actions, and he took a chance. It didn't work out for him. It backfired, you know what I mean? But I really do think that, having the man dragged through court, his name in papers, nowadays his kids won't even talk to him. His wife won't even talk to him. He has a new child on the way. Her family are probably blacklisting him. His own family are probably on the edge of kind of blacklisting him as well. I think it's a bit severe. And like Operation Curb, like, what was that actually set up to do? Was it actually set up to bust blokes? Like,
that's exactly what it's been set up for, yeah. And the way it operates is that the Gardaí send out a team of undercover female Gardaí.
It's a waste of money. What they're doing, what they're actually trying to do, they're trying to target the likes of young girls being brought into this country around prostitution. If that's what they're trying to target, yeah, I'm all on board for it. But if they're trying blokes, ordinary decent people, I bet you Billy's an ordinary decent bloke, you know what I mean? He's not a fucking mad for him. He doesn't deserve to be in court and humiliated to the point where he's being disowned by his family. Operation Curb, in its essence, should have been targeted towards that type of criminality, the criminality that enables young girls from different countries to come into Ireland and be exploited for sex. Now, that's a different fucking kettle of fish in my book.
Okay, but you feel sorry for a guy, and I don't know if he was caught as part of this Operation Curb or whatever the case may be, but you feel sorry for men who get targeted in this way and get set up by the guards, basically.
Absolutely, man. It's a complete waste of taxpayers' money, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. And I mean, I know friends, and I've never done it myself or anything, but I know people that have used whatever, prostitutes, and like, I'm totally against this idea of exploiting, individuals and young girls from different countries. I mean, that's wrong, and that's that needs. But I mean, a lot of the escorts in Ireland. The escorts in Ireland that would be professional escorts. I mean, these people are intelligent, wealthy kind of people that make that choice, that make that life choice, and decide to do that. Do you know what I mean? Okay, yeah, they're working and earning outside the parameters of the law.
Okay, let me go back to Michael. Michael, this is very unfair to be targeting men who, just want to avail of the oldest service in the world.
Yeah, but Adrian, at the end of the day, it's still illegal, and unfortunately, it's
illegal to drive 70 kilometres an hour in a 50 zone. People do it every day.
Absolutely, but as your man said there, ordinary decent bloke. If he was such an ordinary decent bloke, you wouldn't do something like that. If he was such an ordinary decent bloke, you wouldn't do something like that. So, how can you have sympathy for somebody like that? You can't.
You have absolutely no sympathy for him?
Absolutely not, Adrian. At the end of the day, if he wants to jeopardise his relationship, well and good. But if you're married and if you've got a partner, you don't do something like that. If he was on his own and he was single, go for it if that's what you want. But if you're, at the end of the day, could you imagine, the embarrassment of it? That's another thing. The embarrassment to know that, that suddenly. But
let's be honest, Michael. I'm not defending it. I'm not condoning it or whatever. But let's be honest. It is, as they say, the oldest profession in the world. I'm not saying what he was doing was right, wrong, or otherwise. Mm-hmm. But is it fair to be targeted in this way and dragged before the courts?
Well, Adrian, at the end of the day, unfortunately, as long as it's illegal, you have to be dragged before the courts.
But then does that highlight the need, perhaps, to look at this and the need to examine whether it should be illegal?
Well, that's another story completely. Should prostitution be legalised or not? That's a completely different story. And if that was to be the case, that the government would decide to review it, fair enough. But unfortunately, at this moment in time, there's no comeback for your man. Because as far as he's concerned, look what he's done. He's done it to himself.
Well, there you are, Jonathan. He's no sympathy for him. The guy did it to himself. Tough.
There's no comeback for your man.
Are you there, Jonathan?
Yeah, I can't actually hear you. Can you put me back onto Jeremy? I'm going to get him to ring me back on a different number.
All right, I'll get him to ring you back now in a second. All right, good man. He's going to ring you. Ring him on a different number. Yeah. Sorry, go on, Michael.
You just can't have sympathy. He's I feel sorry for him in one way, but if you're married with a partner and kids, God almighty, he should have thought about it.
Mary, you've no sympathy either, do you not?
Hiya.
Hi, Mary, how are you?
Hiya. Listen, I'm probably an older woman to all these people ringing in. Not the first fellow, the second fellow that you were talking to. I sort of agree with him about the prostitutes. They have to earn a living, blah, blah, blah. But now, this chap here, right, he married the girl, he walked her up the aisle, wherever he done, he married her, and now she's pregnant. And, for better or for worse, right? And she's expecting, maybe she's not well, or maybe, what sort of a bastard is he to go out and do that on his wife?
Wayne Rooney did it, and sure, look, nobody has even batted an eyelid at him. You've very little sympathy.
Thank God for the guards. Thank God for the Gardaí for what they're doing out there. I've nothing to do with guards or anything. Thank God. Thank God that they've showed up this, I don't know what he's called, rat, his pregnant wife. She's pregnant with his baby, and he's out with prostitutes. I'm not down on prostitutes. They have to make their living. They're probably taking all the rapists or whatever, and they've an awful lot to put up with. I'm not.
Okay, so you admire the Gardaí for taking this on head on?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now, Jonathan, are you still there?
Yep.
Now, there you are. There's a lady who admires the Gardaí for clamping down on prostitution and arresting these men.
Right, well, I'd just like to state, you know what I mean? And in no way, I don't know this lady, so I'm going to make a sweeping generalisation, right? She did, first of all, the first thing she said when she came on there is, I'm from a different generation. Did she not say that?
I did.
She did?
You did, and I appreciate that, and you're probably the generation of my mother, and I've nothing but respect for you. But it is a different generation. You have to understand prostitution in a social setting as well. Do you know what I mean? Prostitution and stuff like that. I mean, in Ireland, right, and a country that is fucking rotten to the core, rotten to the core with institutionalised prostitutism, right? Now, that said, right, you come from a generation, right, that you weren't even allowed to fucking talk about sex. Never mind do it. Do you know what I mean? So you come from a you're condoning this type of heavy-handed policing, for the want of a better phrase, on individuals. Billy's a family man.
Oh, family.
Hold on, miss. You got your say. Can I have my say? Thanks very much. Billy's a family. If I'll encourage it, now, and again, I'm not condoning what he's doing, but what I am condoning, and what I would like to see, if Billy's family are listening to this by any weird chance.
Would you like your father to be doing that with your mother?
Look, Mrs., you don't know me and you don't know my father. I know I made a sweeping generalisation, but, you know, you're just being smart now. We're trying to have a constructive kind of conversation here. Now, what I'm saying is they should give Billy a second chance, because if he deserves nothing, he deserves that.
No, he doesn't. He married the girl. He married the girl, like your father married your mother.
And does he deserve, Mary, to be blanked by his family, to be blanked by his wife, to be literally blanked by society?
And everything else that he's ever done for his family, all the support he's provided, and house that he's put over their heads, and food that he's put in their stomach, that all has to be washed away by this. He made a bad decision. Ultimately, he made a bad fucking choice. Do you know what I mean? He went to get that's what the man done. Do you know what I mean? He didn't intentionally go out there to hurt himself or hurt his family. Ultimately, the consequences of his actions.
He was out to satisfy his lust, and I can understand that, because a man, everybody has needs. I can understand that. I'm not going down that road. Everybody has needs. If he loved his wife, truly loved his wife, would he have done that? You know, that's just a question.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for being...
I would say, yeah. I would say his actions...
I'm sorry for being a smart arse. I'm a different generation. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be...
No, you're grand. I understand where you're coming from, right? But, I mean, ultimately, does one action define whether we love or don't love an individual?
No. And let the first man throw stones, because we've all thrown stones.
Exactly.
And, I mean, I've made hundreds of mistakes in my life. Hundreds.
All right, but let me bring in more calls on this. Sandra, you're on FM104. How are you, Sandra?
Hi.
Hello, Sandra?
Yeah, hello.
Now, you believe that men like that guy have gotten everything that they deserve?
Yeah, they do. And I think for this conversation, Jonathan is making sweeping generalisations, and this is a particular incident we're talking about of this man. And I'm so fed up of 90% of the men coming up with the same excuse. Well, my wife didn't have a sexual appetite and I had needs. They think that that's going to get them away with it. And I'm just so sick of it. And he deserved everything he got. And he says he has 3 kids. Did he do this 3 times then? With the 3 times she was pregnant? I mean, if she lost her sexual appetite for the first time, maybe she did the other.
Is there any chance of getting him on the phone, Adrian?
We have been, well, but I've put the call out. I haven't managed to get him yet, so...
Really, if you're out there, ring in, man. Give us, let's hear your side of the story in Technicolor.
There is no side to a story.
Of course there is, miss.
There is no side. He's going to come up with that stupid excuse that you all bloody use, or most men use. I had needs. Well, holy Jesus, we all have needs. But if you're marrying someone and you're spending your life with them, and you have 3 kids with them, you respect the person you're with, and you put your needs second to theirs.
Absolutely. I think, like I said, I'm not condoning what he done. I mean, he made the wrong decision. Do you know what I mean? He made a bad choice, and he's certainly paid the consequences today. Do you know what I mean? He's after being dragged through the courts, made a show of, his family taken from him. Do you know what I mean? I think it's enough.
He lost his family through his actions.
Enough is enough.
But in fairness, Sandra, if anyone listening can say they can put their hands up because they've never made a mistake, I'd love to hear from them. We've all made mistakes, Sandra.
Exactly.
We've all made mistakes, but we're talking about this particular mistake. We're not talking.
And this particular mistake, this particular mistake is worthy of him losing everything.
Adrian,
sorry, that's the question I'm asking you. Sorry,
yes.
Sandra.
Yes, if he was stupid enough to jeopardise what he had, well then yes, it should be taken off him, or pulled off him, and I hope to God the wife has pulled the family away from him, because that's what he deserves. If he was willing to put that on the line, then he should have been willing to lose it.
You're wrong, Sandra. You're wrong.
No, I'm not. If he was willing to put that on, if he was willing to put his family on the line.
You're close-minded and you're wrong.
Close-minded. What I'm saying is, right, if the man or woman, whoever, be it going out with prostitutes or having an affair, whatever, if they're willing to jeopardise their family life by putting their family life on the line to go out and have a little bit of fun, or to quote, satisfy your needs, well then you have to be prepared to
Yes, Jonathan, yeah.
lost it.
Do a bit of a social experiment here. Ask for callers between 20 and 30 to ring in. Ask for any callers that aren't from Ireland to ring in relation to this issue. Get a more wider demographic.
And do you think, Jonathan, that we have a very backward attitude towards prostitution?
Absolutely, and I think you do yourself the way you're asking me that question, to be honest with you. But I won't comment on that. Yeah, I mean, I do. Come in. I mean, we're supposed to be part of Europe and stuff like that, but we're one of the most in relation to this, in many ways, very conservative and kind of, and only a certain generation as well. Only does after a certain age, like, you have that whole kind of convent school girl, Catholic kind of upbringing shoved down your throat.
Well, Sandra, what do you say to that? We have a backward attitude towards prostitution. In other words, Sandra, this is the oldest profession in the world, as they always say. This is a business arrangement between two adults. Why, in God's name, is it illegal?
Well, to me, prostitution doesn't mean nothing. If a woman wants to go out and earn the money that way, that's fine. What gets at me is when it's married men or people in relationships who are going to these. And maybe that's why it's illegal. If it's between two, if a single man or whatever, I have no problem with prostitution if they want.
Well, okay, let me ask you this question. Okay, we all know prostitution is illegal, and the Gardaí have a job to do to implement the laws that currently stands, okay? Now, do you think it is right... well, I'll read this text and see what you think of this, right? Listening to this discussion, why are men being the targets of undercover female Gardaí? Why not have undercover male Gardaí to catch the hookers who are there day in and day out instead of going after the punter? What do you think of that?
Well, I think that's true, right, as well. They should be there to catch them if it's illegal and whatever way to catch them, be it the punters or the hookers. Go ahead and do whatever you have to do to catch them.
Okay, Josh, you wanted to talk to Jonathan, did you?
I did, yeah. First of all, Adrian, I'm not from an older demographic. I'm only 30 years of age.
Okay.
And, I don't agree with him at all. Look, it's about time that some of the onus is put on the men. I mean, they've always gone after the women. And the way things are now, with a lot of them women being trafficked, they don't even have a choice and they're pushed into it and they can't escape it. It's about time the men started answering from it. And the men can't claim ignorance anymore either, because we all know that a lot of them prostitutes are here through trafficking. It's about bloody time that the guards started.
I think a lot of the ones that are involved in have been trafficked into the country aren't working on the streets, though. I think they're working in brothels. I don't think you'll see many of them on the streets.
There's a percentage of them on the streets.
Yes, a percentage, but I don't think that's the big...
No. A lot of them that are brought into the country are for a specialised... They're catered for a very specialised client, you know what I mean? And that's... Here, look, that's not the type of prostitution I'm talking about at all. And I totally disagree with that. You know, if he's talking about, you know, that forced prostitution to stay in the country, you know, that's not between two consenting adults. That's
How do you know? How do you know the prostitute you're going to is consensual or whether she's put there?
I've never been to a prostitute. I'm not speaking from personal experience.
I'm saying, hypothetically, somebody...
Hypothetically, well, considering that the stories that I've heard are about Irish prostitutes, English escorts, people like, do you know what I mean, well-spoken, kind of well-educated, putting themselves through college type thing, or buying their second house type thing, you know what I mean, this type thing, not young fucking Lithuanians or young toy girls, you know what I mean, strapped to a bed somewhere, do you know what I mean? Sorry for the graphic image, but that's not what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's hard to discriminate. I think maybe prostitution should be legal as well. I mean, I think they do need to maybe clean it up, because maybe that's the only way to get rid of the traffic element of it. So to be honest with you, going on saying that man deserves a break and all that, in fairness now, a pregnant girlfriend at home or a pregnant wife at home and going out and being...
But let me ask you, because this is what this conversation focuses on, Josh. Do you think that it is right to go after the men, in other words, the customer, rather than the supplier?
No. See, because the prostitutes are seen as the victim in this as well, do you know what I mean? Especially the streetwalkers, because 99% of them, right, are actually drug addicts as well, do you know what I mean? So they're seen as the victim of, well, they're only doing it for the drug habit, so, you know, they're being forced into it one way or the other. And the Johns on the street, the dudes going to driving along the curbs, they're seen as prowlers and they're seen as fucking perverts and predators, do you know what I mean?
No, but it's not like that either. It's about supply and demand. There's no point in just going after the supply. You have to go after the demand as well if you want to get.
But as somebody just texted in, the guards don't go after the drug customer, they go after the drug dealer.
Exactly. Only a very small percentage of guard kind of resources are put into looking after the user. A huge amount of health service money goes into treatment of drug users and supporting drug users, giving them clean needles and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So where is that type of mentality in terms of a dude that may be addicted to prostitutes?
Okay, stay there for a second, both of you. Let me go to Francis. You're on FM104. How are you, Francis?
Hello, Adrian. How are you? I'm from an older generation. Right, I'm not a young girl, I'm a mature woman. And I've been on your show a couple of times about the same issue. Prostitutes should be made legal, number one. And if it's made legal, these people who are smuggled in and forced into it, everyone would be checked by doctors, their names would be down and they'd be checked. And I really believe, and it's the oldest thing, as you said, in the world, and it's never, ever going away. But if you make it legal, you can watch. And number two, that man that was caught, he was an L-Aegis. An L-Aegis he was, and there's loads of Aegis out there that do it, but that's a different subject to legal prostitution and him being a gobshite. And in my opinion, the police should have better things to do than go after.
He's actually on I have him on the switch at this moment, but he's too embarrassed to go on. I know, Jonathan, you asked.
We have very few police, God help them. They work very hard. They do what they're told to do. And there's more important things in this bloody country for police to do than go around trying to catch customers. And
you know what? You're a woman after my own heart. Fair play to you.
Francis, one of the arguments against...
It would be pushed under the carpet.
Okay, Francis, one of the arguments against legalising prostitution is that wives of men like this guy will never know. His wife now knows because he was arrested for it. If it was legalised, she'd never know.
Well,
but that's a social issue.
What do you think is better? These men who want to go with women will do it anyway, whether it's illegal or whether it's legal.
And you don't believe that he should be humiliated before the courts for doing so?
I think it's a load of crap, a waste of bloody people's money.
Well, now there you go, Josh. A waste of money humiliating a man in this way.
Good stuff.
No, I don't know. Well, but to be honest, I'm kind of glad he's being humiliated, I am, because I think it's disgusting what he's doing.
In 100 years' time, if the world is still here, it'll be still there. So why not make it legal and look after them poor women that are out there that choose to do that? And if men want to go, they'll be checked, the prostitutes they're with, and you're never going to stop a man. If he wants to go with a woman, he will go with one.
Exactly.
Lots of men feel it's better to have a one-night stand with a prostitute than have an affair. And let's face it, that's the way the world is. That's my opinion.
Okay, stay there, all of you, for 1 second. Let me go to Samantha. You're on FM104, Samantha. How are you?
Hey, Adrian.
Now, Samantha, what did you want to say on this?
I just think, the girl should be ashamed of herself. Obviously, the fella's going to, get his bit off someone else if, she's not putting out. Basically.
What, it's a woman's fault if her man goes to a prostitute?
Well, yeah, I think so, because, obviously she's not putting out, and obviously the fella isn't happy, so obviously he's going somewhere else.
But some men are never happy.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, she obviously isn't putting out at all. That's why he's going somewhere else. Some men aren't happy, and they won't go anywhere else.
Maybe she's pregnant.
Yeah, well then that says it. Obviously she's a moan bag and all, so obviously you can't put up and then he has to go somewhere else.
Well, you can't wait 9 months.
No. Well, I wouldn't expect my fella to if I was moaning all the time. Even when I was pregnant, I was grand.
So you're saying that if a man ends up going to a prostitute, the woman only has herself to blame?
Yeah. That's exactly it. Like, the woman clearly only has herself to blame. Like, she should be mortified. I wouldn't tell anyone if my fella went off a prostitute, because obviously it shows, like, they are not putting out around with your fella, like.
Now, Josh, what do you say to that?
That just blows me away, that sort of mentality. What is she talking about? If a woman doesn't...
Is she not, and I'm not necessarily backing her up, but is she not stating fact? If a man was deeply sexually satisfied with his other half, sure, he wouldn't need to go, would he?
Right, first of all, she was pregnant, but let's say she wasn't pregnant. He should break up with her. He shouldn't be going off on the slide, going with prostitutes or with loads of blokes each day. He could be bringing back God knows what diseases to her. It's disgusting. Do you know what I mean? If you're not happy if your girlfriend's not giving you enough sex, you break up with her and you find a girl who does do it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's a fair point, Samantha. If you're not happy with your sex life, just move on. Get a new woman.
Yeah, well, like, fair enough. Like, he probably doesn't want to break up with her, though. Like, he'll probably wait until, like, when she is up for it. Like, you know what I mean? But, like, I think she should be ashamed of herself, because, like, she's obviously making him unhappy, like, unhappy enough that he has to go to someone else.
She's pregnant, you gobshite. She's pregnant. She's pretty heavily pregnant. She's pretty uncomfortable to have sex.
It doesn't matter if she's pregnant or not. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter if you're pregnant or not.
Of course it does. She might be uncomfortable. Only a few months.
You're not a girl, right? You don't know what's going on. It doesn't matter for a girl if she's pregnant or not.
Exactly. I'm a bloke, and I know that my girlfriend's actually heavily pregnant at the moment. She's due in a few weeks.
Yeah, well, then you must not be getting it, but I was getting it when I was...
yeah, and I wouldn't be going looking for hookers. You know what I mean? I have the restraint to be able to hold off for a while instead of resort to that sort of low-level dirt.
You love your girlfriends enough, like, but some fellas, fair enough, they love their girlfriend, but, like, they might want to get something else. Like, they might just want to go and relieve a bit of stress or whatever. Like, I think it's the girl to blame anyway. That's my opinion. I think it's...
Slowly, so you're coming from, but the blame...
Can I... I want to ask you this, Josh, just to go back to the conversation here, and I'll come back to you in a second, Samantha. Do you think that somebody, and Barry asked me to do this, he says, poll it, Adrian, see what results you get on wrecking someone's entire life with a small offence. Do you think this guy deserved to have his whole life wrecked for what Barry sees as a small offence?
I don't know if he should deserve to have his whole life wrecked. But the thing about it is the courts aren't wrecking his whole life. They're charging him with an offence. If, his social circle decide to exclude him, his girlfriend breaks up with him or he loses his job, I mean, they're the repercussions that, come from outside.
Okay, so you don't have much sympathy for him. Let me go to Susan. You're on FM104, Susan. How are you?
Hi, Adrian.
Now, Susan, I was interested in your text that came in a couple of minutes ago. What did you want to say on this?
Well, what I wanted to say about it was that I started sleeping with men for cash a couple of months ago. I just found myself in a situation where I just really couldn't survive, and I kind of had to do something about it. I have a couple of men that I see. These men are married. These men are married to women, and some of them have not had sex for 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
These are men. These are human beings. I'm a female. I have sexual urges. So do these men. And what right does a woman have, to, not, as the other girl said it, put out for her husband? Some of these men are really nice guys, and they are just not getting sex at home.
And do you feel sorry for them?
I do, yes.
And how did you get into providing this service? Would you describe yourself as a prostitute?
Well, I suppose other people would probably describe me as that. I would class myself as a sex therapist.
As a sex therapist?
Yeah.
It's very laudable of you. Yeah. But so what? You saw an opening here, for want of a better word, and you needed the money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing this 7 days a week or, every day of the month. It's something I would do on a rare occasion, the odd time, if a particular gentleman rings me. And
how would he know to ring you? Do you advertise?
There are certain sites. Everything happens online now these days, Adrian, you know that. There's ways of going about it and not being so obvious about it and making connections with people.
Okay, that's grand. And you have made connections with a number, and do you have like regular clients?
I do, yes.
And do you keep it to that small selection of regular clients?
That's it, yeah.
And all of these guys that you're with are married men, and you believe you're providing them a service because they're not getting sex at home?
Well, I suppose you could call it a service, but I mean, it's a basic natural human right and instinct to want to have sex.
And back to my question, you actually feel sorry for some of these guys?
I do. Because I know for a fact, Adrian, I couldn't go without sex for 2 or 3 years, could you?
I'd struggle.
I think you do more than struggle. And these guys certainly are. And, you know, they come to me, I'm an intelligent, you know, educated woman, and they come to me and we enjoy each other's company, and they go their way, I go mine.
And that's it. It's as simple as that.
And it's as simple as that.
Now, you heard the message that I played from that guy whose life has literally fallen apart since he was arrested for soliciting. You obviously believe that it should be within the law for you to provide the service that you provide.
Oh, I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, as a previous caller has said, our Gardaí have a lot of work to do, and they're great men and women. And to be out there chasing, you know, prostitutes or curb crawlers, as they call them, you know, when we have guys out there raping children, murdering women, raping women, drug dealers, shooting each other all over the place, it's absolutely ridiculous. Sex is something that we've, you know, it's been part of from day one. And I can't understand at this stage. I mean, I do agree with a caller earlier. Ireland is so far behind where sex is concerned. And what I am experiencing from my personal point of view, along with the Celtic Tiger, came the sexual revolution in Ireland, and the amount of men out there cheating and screwing around on their wives and their girlfriends.
But they're doing that with you as well, though.
No, they're not all doing it with me. I'm talking about...
No, but I'm saying, but that's what they're doing when they're with you.
Some of them are, and they're not just doing it with the likes of me. They're going out in nightclubs every night of the week in Dublin, Cork, Galway, Limerick, and picking up women for sex. The amount of married and attached men out there on the prowl is unnatural.
I agree with you. Now, can I ask you this? Do you feel guilty about doing what you do?
No.
No?
No.
When you think that you said most of your clients are married men...
Yes.
Do you ever think of their poor wives at home?
I mean, these guys would be men that would provide everything for their wives, give them the lives that they want, provide for their children, you know, work hard, really nice guys. And for some reason, whatever the reason may be, there are women out there that once they get married, have their family, then that's it, no more sex. And I'm sorry, but in this day and age, you can't expect a man or a woman to stay with you, you know, and be faithful for you if you're not going to...
Okay, so in answer to my question, do you feel guilty about the wives at home? No.
No, I don't.
No. Do you think that what you do and the service that you provide to these men is less hurtful, for want of a better word, than him going off and having an affair?
Exactly, yes, because it's not emotional. There is no emotional attachment.
You just meet them, spend time together, do the deed, and off they go.
And off they go. And it's always 100%, as somebody was on about earlier on, these women, you know, shaggy men left, right and centre, it's 100% safe sex.
All right, now Anne-Marie, you're on FM104. How are you, Anne-Marie?
I'm fine, thank you, Adrian.
You wanted to get in on this. What did you want to say?
I just think like he got everything deserved, you know what I mean? And I think it's disgusting and degrading, you know, that he could do that to his family. You know what I mean? Like a loving wife, you know, 3 kids.
But what I'm hearing from Anne-Marie, from Susan here, is that she believes, she actually feels sorry for some of these men.
No, I don't.
So you don't feel sorry for a man who mightn't have had sex for years?
No, I don't. Because if they're in a loving relationship and they have...
It's not very loving if they're not having sex. Yeah. I mean, a loving relationship to me is everything.
And they do have a sexual part to their relationship, yes. But that doesn't mean they go out and sleep with every fucking dirty prostitute in the process. You know, like, you know what I mean? That woman had a lucky escape. That wife. You know what I mean? And I'm glad he got humiliated. Because if he had any decency or respecting himself or his family or any love for that family, he wouldn't have went out and done something as degrading as what he did. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do. You know, he paid the price.
And what do you make of somebody like Susan, who needed money? I assume you're not a drug addict or any stereotypical type of prostitute, Susan, are you?
Yeah. I'm definitely not. No, I work a couple of hours part-time. I'm trying to raise my children. I'm paying through the nose for rent. Yeah. I was left in a bad way, and I needed to do something for food on the table for my kids, dress them from school. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, but
I'm not living the high life.
Personal business. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. But all I'm saying is that, okay, this guy, you might think he got what he deserved, okay? But nobody knows what was going on or what the lack of what was going on in their bedroom or their personal life. And I'm sure this guy loved his wife, Billy. I'm sure he loved his wife and his kids.
And if he loved his wife, he wouldn't have went out and fucking did what he did.
See, that's the problem with the Irish today, right? Irish people in general. The sexual urge and the sexual instinct is as strong an emotion as fear and anger and hurt or whatever. And I mean, I don't know what was going on in Billy's life or not going on in Billy's bedroom. But for Billy to have to go out and do something like this to fulfill his sexual urge, there's definitely something wrong in the background.
Yeah, well, if she was when she was heavily pregnant and she got to the stage where she wasn't able to give it, surely to God, if he loved her that much, he would have hung on. You know?
Maybe he would have, but not all men are like that. And you know that as well as I do.
Yeah, but if you're in a proper relationship and you're married and all, like, you know what I mean? There is ways and means around that.
Oh, I know that.
He didn't have to go and stick his flute.
No, but some men need the personal contact. And
okay, can I ask you, Susan, would you not prefer to have a man of your own? Because I'm assuming you don't at this moment.
I'm single. Yes, I would. Of course I would, Adrian. Yeah. But I'm not thinking about it. It's not for the sex for me. It's not the sexual enjoyment for me.
Do you get any sexual enjoyment?
Yeah, I do, yeah. But that's not what it's all about for me.
It's about a few bob.
What I got to do to survive, yeah. And I will do what I have to do for my kids.
And now let me go to Niamh. You're on FM104, Niamh. How are you?
Grand, yeah.
Now, Niamh, what did you want to say on this?
I agree with Anne-Marie. If it was my husband and I was pregnant on our fourth child, I would absolutely chop his balls off.
Not to put too fine a point on it. And what do you make of the service that Susan provides?
Well, I don't think a sex therapist is what you'd call it. But,
and what would you call it?
Well, it's prostitution.
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah. Maybe so, yeah.
It's not sex therapy. Sex therapy. You know the way, I mean, a couple can go to a sex therapist and actually wipe them, like, you know the way they can actually sort out their own problems.
Oh, and listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is that...
don't get me wrong.
Oh, no, I know, babe. I have two... All I'm saying is I have 2 or 3 men that... And these are not... Listen, I'm not the type of woman to be, going out picking up guys. These are 2 or 3 men, and one of them has not had sex with his wife for 7 years. 7 years before he met me. And I think... That's awful, and for anybody. And
obviously, Susan, this man stays with his wife.
Yes,
but just gets the sex end of things dealt with by you.
Not all the time. This might only be, an hour or 2 meet once a month.
And that's enough to keep him happy.
Enough to keep him happy. Yes.
It's still wrong. Someone.
Sorry, Niamh, your mobile is in bits there.
Can you hear me now?
You go on.
Yeah, I said you don't marry someone to have sex with them every single day. Yes, sex is part of a relationship, but it's...
listen, I totally agree, but these are guys that haven't had sex.
Pregnant on our 4th child. I mean, you've kids yourself, I've kids myself. I was very sick on my 2 kids. I'm not sure how your pregnancies were, but the last thing I was thinking about was having sex.
You see, that's where everyone's different. I had sex up to the night before I gave birth.
You see, I was very sick.
Everybody is different.
But I tell you, if I ever found out that my husband ever did that while I was pregnant, I swear I would be done for murder.
Okay, so back to the conversation starter, Niamh, where the guy was essentially giving out about the fact that he'd been done by the guards for soliciting a prostitute. It ruined his life. What do you think of men being targeted in this way? Oh, sorry, Niamh. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Women should be targeted as well. I don't think it should be just
Well,
men.
they are. They are.
You know, but I think they could probably do better things.
All right. Thanks very much indeed, Niamh. And Susan, I appreciate your honesty. Do you see yourself continuing in this line of work?
No. It's just a short-term solution to a long-term problem.
And how will you cope when the time comes that you're able to give it up, that you can afford to give it up? What will you do to those poor men that you're talking about?
Well, these guys know that, you know, it's at my discretion, and that's it.
So when you finish, that's it?
I'm finished, yes.
All right, as I said, I appreciate your honesty, Susan. Thanks very much indeed.
No, take care. Bye-bye.
You're listening to FM104's Phone Show with Adrian Kennedy.